Tottenham win 2-1 away from home. Their third win on the bounce away from White Hart Lane against I think it's pronounced Ferencvaros in the Europa League. And look, they made it a little bit difficult for themselves at times tonight, Tottenham. They probably should have seen this game out a little bit sooner than they did, but they were the better team. There was a lot of rotation, and it's another victory now, 5 on the bounce. And in those 5 wins on the bounce, Brennan Johnson, 5 goals in those games as well. I want your views. I want your opinions. Make sure, by the way, the like button is being hit. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel as well. Absolutely get that done. And look, we'll start with the offside because people are talking about it in the comments section. Look, we've seen the lines drawn, and the lines show that the goal for Ferencvaros was offside. However, I thought that UEFA had automated offsides. And surely if some games in UEFA's competitions are going to have automated offsides, they should all have it. And if they haven't all got it, nobody should have it, because that looks suspiciously onside, in my humble opinion. However, let's be very, very fair to Tottenham. They were the better team. They had the better chances. The only real criticism I think Tottenham fans could have is they probably should have killed the game off sooner. And I think they've got to learn to shut up shop. I think they have to learn to be able to keep their opponent out, kill the game, absolutely sort of dead the game, make it boring, make it a stink fest, go 2-0 up, go 3-0 up, and then 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it may be, kill that game off. And I understand that some will say that is not Big Angie's way. Well, to win the big tournaments, to win the Europas, to win the Champions League, which you've got to be aspiring to do, to win Premier Leagues. I even think to win the FA Cup and League Cup in England, because the standard is still very high when you get up against the big boys in those competitions. Learning to shut games down, learning to kill the momentum is absolutely imperative. Another thing for Spurs, again, is Timo Werner just shouldn't be playing. I was watching tonight. I had absolutely no idea who the striker for Tottenham was. I think it's Langshire. The performance he put in compared to Timo Werner was night and day. Mickey Moore looked an established pro, needs more game time. Any minutes you're going to give to Timo Werner this season, find a way of giving it to Mickey Moore first. In comparison, there is no comparison between the two. I don't care about Timo Werner's experience. I don't care about what his age. Awful. But outside of that, look, the positives for Tottenham are this. It's 5 wins on the bounce. You can't take that away from them in any way, in any shape, or in any form. 5 wins are 5 wins, 3 away from home as well. And 5 of them goals, 5 of those goals as well, on the bounce now for Brennan Johnson. He managed just 5 goals in the entirety of last season. Already has that now in 9 games this campaign. And I'm not saying that he's a world-class superstar. I'm not saying to Tottenham fans he's repaid that £50 million price tag. But what quality form that man is in right now. And it should be praised. Even if it's just a purple patch, it deserves praise, and Spurs will hope that long continues. I also want to shout out Archie Gray as well today. I thought he played really well. It's really hard for a young. I mean, I'm not too sure of his position. I don't know why, and maybe when they signed him, I was assuming he was going to play more in midfield. I don't know why I thought that he would play more in midfield. Maybe I'm tripping here. Maybe I'm tripping, and I'm confusing him with somebody else. I'm just looking at his player profile here. He has played a fair bit in midfield. I was going to go back to last season, because I swear last season I saw him play in midfield. I swear I did, right? And go back to last year's campaign. I'm just going back here because I want to make sure I did. But no, predominantly right back, to be fair, actually. Right back. Maybe it was the games I watched. He played 10 games in midfield. So maybe that's why I'm a little bit confused. But I've seen him play right back. I've seen him play central midfield. He played at centre back tonight. The talent this young man possesses is amazing. And I look at Archie Gray and I look at Mickey Moore and think, Spurs, you've got to start exposing them to more first-team football. And not in this environment where it's big rotation. You've got to start exposing these two to games when it's your first team. When you're only maybe taking out one of your star players for them to give them the opportunity to play with the better individuals, because they're very, very, very talented indeed. They really are. Jerome here says, Timo Werner, 2 games with 3 1-on-1, 0 goals. What a muppet. I mean, the one tonight, Jerome, I know you're a diehard Tottenham fan. The one tonight, I just was at a point where it weren't even funny. It wasn't funny to see what he did. It was not funny on any level whatsoever. He went around the goalkeeper, but that touch was so heavy. This is a man where, honestly, you have got academy players that are better than him even now. There's no point paying his wages. An academy player that flops, at the very least, will save you money until you buy somebody else. You know what I mean? He is so bad. Class to see the likes of Moore getting a full 90 minutes. Now, Cal, I think you're right, and it's important for these young players to get that game time, to get that exposure. And what I will say is this. I'd never heard of Ferencvaros until tonight. Never heard of him. And, you know, some people have. I bet Strasbourg Steve has fucking heard of him. I bet he's got a kit. I mean, right? But I've never heard of them. And another team that played good football, attacked, made it difficult. Before those young players, these away games in Europa League football is such an important acid test. I think it's far better than playing some League 2 team at home in the League Cup. I think this is a much bigger test for their ability to handle the first team men's football. And with Mickey Moore, that man looks like a geezer, a genuine man. All I heard from Spurs fans is Ange doesn't like to play youth. 4 kids on the pitch today, and they looked good. Moore can become Son's replacement. They just need time to adapt. What I would say is this. I don't know how old all those players are. I need to go and look. It's very hard to develop 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm a bit exaggerating a little bit there, but it's very hard to develop that many 17, 18, 19-year-olds at the same time and still be heavily consistent. Okay, if they're in and around your first team. So you may find that not all of them reach their full potential because you've got to try and win at the same time. But they all look, I mean, is it Bergvall? Is that how you pronounce his name? If I've said it wrong, I'm sorry. They look very competent and they've got some very good young players. But when I look at the Timo Werners of this world, I just think, what's the point? You're better off giving that starting berth, those places, those substitute appearances to a Mickey Moore. Even if it isn't his best position, he's going to do a better job. 100% he's going to do a better job than Timo Werner. There is absolutely no doubt about it whatsoever. Timo needs to be sent back to wherever we found him. And he's just using him around the back line. No, and I think it's sensible to play Archie Gray in numerous positions. Sometimes when you're young, it's great to get that exposure in different areas and positions. Sometimes players don't even know their best position at the age that he is at. And it takes time for this to come to fruition. As an example, when Spurs bought Gareth Bale, go back and do the research. Nobody was saying this is going to become one of the best attackers in the world, who's eventually going to thrive on the right-hand side. He was seen as a left back, but actually he was given exposure in multiple positions and he flourished as an example. Gary Neville, one of the greatest right backs in Premier League history, played in a number of positions, centre back being one of them as well. And I think that it's important. Paul Scholes started as a striker and ended up as an attacking midfielder. And then as he got older, moved into a more sort of DM controlling role. When you've got that technical ability, it's great to have that level. You know, Saka went through multiple positions. So I think it's a good idea. It can teach you a lot about the game, gives you a better understanding whilst exposing you to men's football. I think it's really, really important. Only winning by 1 goal versus a team from Hungary is embarrassing. Look, I think that's one area that Spurs will want to improve on, is killing these games off and being a little bit harder to break down and create chances against. However, look, I don't think in the grand scheme of the season, Spurs fans are going to look back at this game and go, that game away in Hungary was awful. It's just one of those. It's an away European night. You get the victory. You take the 3 points at 6 points from 6 now for Tottenham, a quarter of the way through, maximum points. They're happy. You know, I still think Spurs can get better than this. So, yeah, I don't actually think they will be that embarrassed. Plus, it wasn't as though their main 11 started as well. They had a lot of kids out there, and that's a little bit of a leveler as well. Bergvall is better than Werner. Just start him. I hear you. It's unlucky, Terry. We have Son, Richarlison, and Olbert injured. Otherwise, Timo won't touch grass, especially when you see the likes of Moore doing well. Well, yeah, you would hope so. But the fact is that you re-signed him after what was awful last year. So I'm not too sure about that. And that's one area where I think if you're going to be uber critical of your team, you need to push for them to not, he just shouldn't be playing for you, even now with the injuries. Much needed to keep the form going. Fans asked for Ange to start the youth too. No matter the comp, they did well, to be honest, especially compared to how senior players looked out of place versus Coventry. And do you know what's really interesting too is it's only your first win in your last, I think you had one win in your last 9 away European games. So again, picking up that victory, winning the game, building the confidence is all that really matters. Now, listen, we're going to be live again after Man United play tonight against Porto and Chelsea host Ghent. So we're going to be live after that. It's a very short match reaction because I'm going to go and watch those games now. I've got my tears ready because I'm going to probably be crying at some point tonight. And I'm honestly in this position where I don't know whether I want to win or lose. Like I want to win, but does that mean Ten Hag's staying? Do I want to lose? It might mean Ten Hag's leaving, but I don't want my club to lose in my heart of hearts. I honestly feel between, that they're saying between a rock and a hard place. I genuinely know how that feels right now. I genuinely know how that feels. It's crazy. But look, everyone who's tuned in, I want to say a big thank you to all of you. Hit the like and the share button. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace as well. And we'll see you again soon.